Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States, but it's important to know where the sport came from before moving forward. We'll share a brief history of the sport, how it received its famous name, and what the current popularity looks like. Pickleball was born in 1965. After playing golf during the summer, Joel Pritchard, a congressman from Washington, and Bill Bell, a successful businessman, returned to Pritchard's home on Bainbridge Island, not far from Seattle, Washington. With bored children at home, they sought to play badminton on an old badminton court, but couldn't find the proper equipment. They improvised and played with table tennis paddles and a perforated plastic ball. They began with the net at a badminton net height, 60 inches high, and volleyed the ball back and forth over the net. Eventually, as play progressed during the weekend, they found the ball bounced well on the asphalt surface, and they would eventually lower the net to 36 inches high. The following weekend, Barney McCallum joined and began playing, and the three men created the rules for pickleball. The men remembered the original purpose of creating the game was for a game the whole family could play when they were bored. By 1967, the first permanent pickleball court was constructed in the backyard of Pritchard's friend and neighbor Bob O'Brien. In 1972, a corporation was formed to protect the sport, and in 1975, the National Observer wrote for the first time about pickleball. Tennis Magazine followed this with an article about America's newest racket sport in 1976. By spring 1976, the first known tournament in the world was held at South Center Athletic Club in Tukwila, Washington. Team ONIX's Steve Paranto placed second, and David Lester won men's singles. Because this was such a new sport and players knew so little about it, at the time of the tournament, they practiced with large wood paddles and a softball-sized whiffle ball. In 1978, a book called The Other Racquet Sports was published, and it included information about pickleball. 4 years later, Sid Williams began playing and organizing tournaments in Washington. The first pickleball rulebook was published in 1984 by the United States Amateur Pickleball Association, which committed to growth and advancement of the sport. Sid Williams served as the first executive director and president from 1984 to 1998. Frank Candelario followed him until 2004. Steve Paranto's father, Arlen Paranto, a Boeing industrial engineer, created the first composite pickleball paddle. Arlen used fiberglass and Nomex honeycomb panels that the commercial airplanes used for their flooring and structural system. Arlen made 1,000 paddles from this fiberglass honeycomb core and graphite honeycomb core until he sold the company to Frank Candelario. By 1990, pickleball was being played in all 50 states. 2 years later, Pickleball Inc. manufactured pickleballs in-house with a custom drilling machine. By 1999, the first ever pickleball website launched called Pickleball Stuff. In 2001, pickleball was introduced in the Arizona Senior Olympics, drawing 100 players, which was the largest event to be played at that point. Later, events would begin growing to nearly 300 players. By 2003, Pickleball Stuff would list 39 known places to play in North America, 10 states, 3 Canadian provinces, and 150 individual courts. In 2005, the USA Pickleball Association was established. 3 years later, the USAPA Rules Committee published an official rulebook. Pickleball was included for the first time in the National Senior Games Association. Good Morning America aired a live segment on pickleball for the first mass media exposure for the sport. The first USAPA national tournament was held in November 2009 and drew almost 400 players from 26 states and several Canadian provinces. Since then, pickleball has been exploding in growth and popularity with tournaments played by millions, ranging from young to old, all over the world. The USAPA has more than 40,000 members, and it's estimated pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, as participants reach around 3.3 million. How did pickleball get its name? Why it is called pickleball? When you first learn about the sport, the name pickleball often produces a laugh, especially since no pickles are involved. But there is some debate on how the name was originated. There are 2 different accounts. The first account is according to Joel Pritchard. She started calling the game pickleball because the combination of different sports reminded her of the pickle boat in Crewe, where oarsmen were chosen from the leftovers of the other boats. The second account from Barney McCallum says pickleball was named after Pritchard's dog Pickles, who would chase the ball and run with it. Some believe Pickles was named after the game because he didn't join the family until a couple of years after the game was created. Pickleball basic rules. Pickleball can be played as either singles or doubles, and the rules are the same for both iterations. Without bouncing the ball off the court, it must be served underhanded and diagonally to the opponent's service court from behind the baseline. The serve has to clear the net and may not land in the kitchen. Points are scored when the opponent faults, failing to return the ball, hitting the ball out of bounds, or into the net. Only the serving team can score. The server will continue to serve, each time by alternating service courts, until the serving side faults. Games are played to at least 11 points, and must be won by a lead 2. After the ball is served, the ball must bounce at least once on each side before being able to volley the ball. This is known as the double bounce rule. Players cannot volley the ball while standing within the non-volley zone or on the non-volley line. How is pickleball played? Despite how complicated the rules might sound, pickleball is easy to pick up with only a few matches of play. With such a friendly atmosphere at the core of this sport, other players will be more than happy to help you grasp the rules. The more you play, the quicker these rules will become second nature, so you can begin your journey on the road to mastery. The court. Pickleball is played on a badminton-sized court that measures 44 by 20. The net measures 36 on the sides and droops down to 34 in the middle. These are the standard regulations for both singles and doubles play. The serve. Starting on the right-hand service zone and then alternating between serves, the server starts by standing behind the baseline at the end of the court. Then, with the paddle below the waist, the ball must be served underhanded to the diagonal opponent's service zone. So, for example, if you serve from your left service zone, then the ball must land in the opponent's left service zone, and vice versa. Serves must clear both the net and the non-volley zone, including the non-volley lines. If the ball touches this line during the serve, it's considered a fault. During a serve, the ball cannot bounce on the ground and must be hit while in the air. Additionally, both feet must be behind the baseline during service. Only one attempt at serving is allowed, unless the ball hits the net and lands in the proper service court. In this case, this is known as a let, and the server gets another chance. Conclusion. It's no coincidence that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. This game is easy on the body and has a simple learning curve, which makes it excellent for people of all ages to enjoy. Other racket sports, such as tennis, racquetball, and badminton, might require hours of play or lessons just to get the gist. But since pickleball was designed with family enjoyment in mind, it only takes a few matches to understand how to play. From there, it's easy to get a game going and show off your skills. In addition, pickleball is inexpensive, requires only basic equipment, and is played on a small court, which makes it very accessible for entire communities. Even if you don't have a dedicated court around, many recreation departments simply use a tennis court that's been refitted for pickleball. If you can't find the right-sized court to play on, no problem. With tape, a portable net, and some time, you can refit any suitable surface or court and be ready to play in no time. Perhaps one of the best reasons why pickleball is so enjoyable is its small court size. This allows for a fast-paced environment to improve hand-eye coordination, test your reflexes, and socialize since you're close to other players. Don't let pickleball's small court fool you. It's still easy to break a sweat and get a fun workout in. Once you pick up a paddle, it'll be hard to put down. So make sure you hydrate and stretch often. Joel Pritchard's wife, Joan, started to call their game pickleball because the combination of different sports reminded me of the pickle boat in Crewe, where oarsmen were chosen from the leftovers of other boats. But according to Barney McCallum, they named the game after Pritchard's dog, who was, as you might have guessed, named Pickles. Despite the sour taste of actual pickles, their dog was sweet and known to run off with the ball while it was still being played. Depending on who you ask, both accounts of the game's name may actually be true. At the start, there wasn't any name for pickleball until an official one was needed when the game started to gain traction. With the laid-back nature of pickleball, it's only appropriate that it was named in a similar fashion.